Now, after the break, we will be discussing with our tourism communications and promotion expert on ways to access business opportunities in the Nigerian market. Stay with us. Thank you for staying with us. Nigeria is a land with untapped potential. Numerous sectors are offering promising opportunities for business growth. From agriculture to technology, real estate to entertainment, there is no shortage of areas where entrepreneurs can make their mark. The creative sector in Nigeria is a thriving industry driven by young and talented individuals. A recent report revealed that the creative industry employs 4.2 million people across 5 sectors: media, entertainment, beauty and lifestyle, visual arts, as well as tourism and hospitality. By accessing business opportunities in these various sectors, Nigerians can leverage their skills and expertise to create successful ventures that thrive in the Nigerian market. We're joining us via Zoom from the United Kingdom is tourism communications promotion expert Femi Lawson. Good morning. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Right. Now, let me begin from a statement made by the Vice President Kashim Shettima at a stakeholders meeting with Nigerian creatives yesterday. He stated that the government has resolved, or this administration has resolved, to ensure a more inclusive and prosperous future for the country's creative economy, or creative industry, so to speak. How do you interpret this statement? What sort of hope does this bring, hearing the government say this?
Firstly, for the government to think and agree with the market now on the part of creative economy, I think is a positive growth in that area of government determined to grow the economy, looking at different sectors. So I think that's applause to the nation and everybody. But what is more important is how ready is the government doing this? How ready is the government agencies accepting this responsibility and working with it? And how ready are the citizens, also the players in the industry, to actually come together to see this as an opportunity to not just build their business, but build the Nigerian economy and the Nigerian nation. I think that's the way I say it. Yes, the government has made the pronouncement, which is good, which is positive, but all the forces that are meant to work with it already are there.
Right. And so what would be the next big step for you now after this, multi-layered meeting involving the federal government and creatives? So what next?
Okay, I will expect that the government begins to engage the stakeholders. When I say stakeholders, the operators in different industries that can move things forward. And I'll say also charge the government in terms of uh, building a system where positive image for the country, because you cannot talk creative economy without talking about how the country is perceived. And we have great opportunity with the entertainment industry now, where the Nigerian music and movie industry is fast growing across the world and making a lot of impact. But how much are we leveraging on that in terms of image for the country and in terms of income for the country? And that's to say, we are Nigerian youth recently are also making a lot of impact on social media. But what kind of impact are we making? How are we shaping the images, the image we put across for our nation? The music industry has given us a very, very good leverage in terms of creativity in that industry and also in terms of marketing. But how much of that are we taking back home and it's beneficial to the common man on the street? It can only be beneficial to the common man when when it affects the economy and when money begins to get to their hands. And how will this happen? We have to understand the assets that we have locally. And you see, the truth of the matter is you have to look at tourism differently. Tourism is not just people coming to your country and sleeping in hotel or having luxury holiday. No, tourism is a base for infrastructural development, security, and all of those things. So tourism, we are looking for investors. We are talking about the exchange rate. All of those things can be affected if we promote tourism very well in our country. It's the movement of people. If you look at UNW reports recently, in this quarter, I think the Middle East has really come back and grown by 15% above what it was before the pandemic era. That's a country that is pushing everything tourism, doing every day, go into the media, go anywhere, pushing everything tourism. And I beg to say that most of these nations do not have a quarter of the assets that we have in Nigeria. So
Right.
when the government make this pronouncement, they also need to do engagement with the stakeholders. When I say stakeholders, part of governments are the stakeholders. Tourism assets belong to the states majorly. What are the states in Nigeria doing about it? It's not enough. But yes, the vice president has talked about that. But what is the state government doing? Do they see tourism as a source of income or a source or as just a way of we just have that ministry? No. Tourism is meant to drive economy of state, economy of local government, economy of communities in Nigeria.
Right, because it's interesting that these persons, be it governors and the political elites, they travel outside the country, they see how tourism is done across these countries, and you're wondering why it's so difficult for us to replicate that. As a country, we have the potential. What really is the challenge? What is holding us back?
Okay, I'll take the challenge in three forms. Number one is the readiness of the government, both federal and state government. Nigeria has over 371 ethnic groups, if I can say, different ethnic groups. But do you know that all of these are assets? Those people have different kind of food. That is the food sector. Talk about ecotourism. There is no community in Nigeria that doesn't have tourism assets. But you ask yourself, most of these tourism assets, what are they doing with it? Most of it are just dead. Nothing is happening. Still as old as it were, nothing is going on around that place. People are not even visiting. It's so sad that even Nigerians do not know the tourism asset that exists in Nigeria. And that's where we need to start from. History is dying, culture is dying. And this is what people want to know. This is what tourists want to learn about Nigeria. This is what will attract them. What are the state government doing? What are the local government doing? What are the traditional rulers doing? These people are the tail level, because tourism is the people that benefit from tourism directly are the grassroots. So if we come out to make campaign on employment, campaign on changing economy, what plan do we have? How do we want to create policy at the federal level and engage the state government to implement some policy at that level, engage the local government? Then we'll come to talk about the stakeholders, the players of the industry. Yes, we can clap for the players in the music and the movie industry. But what about the people selling destinations? What about the people selling hotels? There are so many ecotourism sites in Nigeria. So many that you can, there are some that you cannot imagine what you have. There are so many stories, historical story, culture that people want to see. But what are the state government, the local government doing about that? What is the stakeholder themselves doing about that? It's not about, at this moment, it's not about wanting to sell yourself or wanting to be seen. Now it's about what do we have to sell and how do we sell it. Then thirdly, it's on the media. I think we've got a very strong media, but we are not using it the right way. What's the orientation about communication within the Nigerian system? How do I know that whatever I put on my TikTok page go a long way beyond me? It talks about my nation and my community. Whatever I put on my YouTube page goes beyond me. It talks about people, it makes people see how my nation is, how my society is. We need orientation of this. I've tried to engage the NOA before that. What is NOA doing in the area of orientating people on the use of social media? The world is a global village now. Whatever you put on social media in the corner of your room is seen by millions or billions of people around the world. And this can be used to our advantage, because social media is almost everywhere in Nigeria now. How good are people using it? The conventional media, how much are we talking about tourism? How much are we talking about all of this creative activity that is going on in Nigeria? A lot is going. A lot of people are doing a lot of creative, brilliant work in this industry. But we need to showcase who we are. We need to showcase what we are. You see, one thing we outside the country we need to deal with most times is having to say, no, you have a different perspective on Nigeria. This is not who we are. I was with some group recently, and somebody asked me, Ofemi, do you think there are restaurants like this in Nigeria? I said, there are better, bigger restaurants like this in Nigeria. If you visit Nigeria once, you will want to move to Nigeria. Now, a lot of people do not know this, and we need to sell this. We need to use more of the media. Government needs to play more with the Gen Z generation, like we call it, that are on the media now. Everybody has TikTok page. Everybody has a YouTube page. But you see, what do we put on all of these platforms? It goes a long way in helping to change and grow our economy. Thank you.
Right, and the federal government is also announcing what some may call ambitious plans, and that is for the creative industry to generate about 10% of the country's GDP, targeting 100 billion in the process. How achievable is this? Where does this fit into your own dreams for a better creative industry in Nigeria?
Well, the truth of the matter is, I believe creative industry can generate way more than that. But like we rightly said here, is how much of effort are we ready to put in it? We have a platform called Virtual Tourism that we are using to sell tourism in Nigeria to people here. But I must tell you that how much of government support have we gotten in that area of driving the virtual tourism. It was meant to be a marketing tool for people to travel virtually to see the Nigerian assets. But we've been on that since about 5 years now, and we've not got a single support from government to say, how does this work? So government should need to move away from just making policies, which I know they are doing, to engagement. We need to engage the people in this industry because there are lots of things going on in this industry. The music industry is going far and wide. Every corner around the world now, you hear Nigerian music. But how much of that is affecting the Nigerian economy? Everybody wants to listen. So without engagement, government, stakeholder, and government engagement, and media, I keep saying this, these are the things that will make it happen. If only we can do a thorough and real engagement with the stakeholders. When I say engagement with stakeholders, not the Agbada stakeholders, but the real stakeholders that are playing in that sector. Then you talk about promoting the nation's image. The nation is not as bad as people push it on social media. There are a lot of things that are positive in Nigeria. How much of that are we ready to put out there? How much of that would somebody see and want to come and invest in Nigeria? There are so many investment opportunities into the ecotourism system in Nigeria, opportunities. If government cannot fund it, how much of effort is government putting to drive investors in those states? I ask everybody, Lagos is so beautiful and so fantastic. Everybody loves Lagos. How much of tour buses do you have on Lagos Street?
All right.
If Lagos is truly above 20 million, how many people in Lagos come out every day? People live in Mushin that has never been to VI. People live in Isaleko and has never been to the mainland. The good thing about this economy is this. Even the internally generated income on tourism is massive. Do you know how many people that wants to travel from Lagos to Benin, to Akwa Ibom, to Enugu, and all around? We have to sell ourselves to over 200 million people. Not to talk about selling to Africans, not to talk about selling to all the rest of the world. So if we really mean business and we want this to work, there needs to be a strong and real, I keep saying the word real, engagement with the players in the industry. Support for them.
Right.
And there needs to be a lot of promotional backup. How do I sell Nigeria to a foreigner if all the news, all the things that go in the media are negative?
Right. Well, as much as there's so much the government has to do, the people themselves, beyond the players, people themselves, how much of a belief, because you've been talking about the perception that people have about the country and sometimes the perception that Nigerians themselves put out there for people outside the country to see. You go on social media, you find some people, just make some statements, derogatory statements about the country. And you have rightly pointed that there's so much going on in the country that is beneficial to the people. The country is not as bad as people paint it. And bringing it back to Nigerians themselves believing in the country, knowing the potential that the country has, that they can sell out there on the various platforms that they have.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Nigerians we need to take responsibility that we only have one country. We only have Nigeria. And no matter how bad Nigeria may seem to be, is still what we have, and we can help to change it. Now, like I said, Nigeria is not as bad as we think, but the image we have created for Nigeria out there really matters. We can help to change this image. We can help to make Nigeria look better. We can help to make Nigeria a better place from our actions. I've been in an airport and a white, you see, it's so funny. The white person was talking about that, and the foreigner, sorry, was talking about Nigeria. I like to go to Nigeria. I think it's a beautiful place. I've seen a lot of people go to Nigeria. And the Nigerian at that same airport told told the lady, no, don't go to Nigeria. They are not good people. And I looked at her and I said, for heaven's sake, how long are we going to do this for? I live in Nigeria for a donkey years, and I'm proud to be a Nigerian anywhere, any day, anytime. Because it's not as bad as we think. There are nations that are worse than Nigeria. There are nations that have security issues. There are nations that have healthcare system issues. There are other nations, a lot of things are going on. But Nigeria is a great nation. Nigeria is a blessed nation with different assets. Nigeria is one place. If Nigeria is as bad as we citizens think Nigeria is bad, why do we still have foreigners in Nigeria? Why should we still have people coming to do business in Nigeria? Why is the whole world bidding for Africa if Africa is that bad? So we need to look inward and look at why do people appreciate our assets, and we that live in the country, in this country, or that are from this country, we don't appreciate our assets. What's the responsibility of we Nigerians in diaspora? It's not just enough for us to sit down and believe, oh, we need it. No, it's also for us to be a good ambassadors to our nation. How much of impact are we making where we work? How much of impact are we making on social media? All of these things add direct or indirect value to our nation, Nigeria. So I hope with this, the Nigerian citizens everywhere in the world, not just the people in Nigeria, not just the people on social media, will know that everything I do out there affects the image of my country, and at the end of the day, affect the economy of my country. Because everywhere now in the world is the movement of people. In 2023 first quarter alone, it surpassed the travel in 2022. Tourism is fast gaining that its position. And how do we take advantage of moving the movement of people into Africa, which was just 60 million according to 2019 statistics? But now we have a lot of opportunity because everybody is struggling now to win the market. How ready are we to win some market for our own nation?
Right.
And drive the tourism in Africa?
But let me also ask, what your thoughts are regarding the state of our regulatory bodies in Nigeria, regarding, those people manned to, act as supervisory bodies over the creatives in Nigeria. How sufficient are they? Because, analysts have also spoken about the sufficiency or otherwise of regulatory bodies in the system.
Sorry, I missed some part of your question.
Yes, I'm asking about the level of sufficiency of regulation in the system, because to show Nigeria is indeed ready as creatives to push its creative industry even further, we should also, shine the spotlight, so to speak, on the regulation, the capacity and otherwise of our regulatory bodies.
Well, I think one of the biggest problems in that sector is regulation and aligning and putting the right regulation in place, and which is directly to going back to the government. And we need to, regulation is not cast in stone. It can be amended, it can be changed. It has to fit what goes on in the market, what goes on in the world. Now, Nigeria is not a young country like that, but also there are some people that have made some regulations. We need to go back to these regulations, policies, and see, is it working? If it's not working, how do we do it? And that takes me back to what I said earlier on. Engage with the real players in the industry. Because when you engage people in this industry, they can tell you where the opportunities are, where the weaknesses are, and where the strengths are. And with all of this is what you can use to put regulations in place. You need to control it. Without you taking that framework, we cannot go anywhere. And I think that's a big problem with tourism in Nigeria. And we need to focus on that. There are regulation at federal level and at state level. How ready are the state? How accommodating are your regulations? How accommodating are you? At what platform is your regulation given to players in the industry? Is this the one that is stripping, that is killing them or killing the business, or is it the one that is making it easier for them to do business with? I believe a responsive government will create a platform where entrepreneurs can work very well. And you see, who makes up most of this? Who makes up this creative industry? They are the youth. And all over the world now, the Gen Zs, the youth are dictating what is happening around the world. And if you look at even the population of Nigeria, is more of, we have more youths. So how are we going to, what do we need to put in place to help the, and you see, the one interesting is that these guys are fast guys. They are not like you and I that wants to stay in one organization for 35 years. I want to be, and they want to do things fast. They want to do things differently. So I think every state, or I'm hammering on state, because the truth of the matter is that tourism assets in Nigeria is actually managed by states.
Right.
Federal government do a lot of policies and all of that, but the gatekeeper, the guys that work with this assets are majorly the state government. So how much are you taking good or creating benefit for the youth in your state?
All right, quickly, Femi, let me quickly ask you this question as we inch closer to wrapping up this conversation. Funding, what would you expect from government, since it is restating its commitment to ensuring that the creative economy works?
Yeah, one of the biggest problems in that industry is funding. You cannot shy away or run away from that. And it's so difficult that attracting funding internationally is difficult, because even locally, do they believe in what you're doing? Do your government has have regulation that protects that foreigner that is bringing you funding? And so government needs to go back to drawing board. Part of what you are doing as your regulation is, what opportunities can we put down for people in terms of funding? How much of capital are we ready to invest? Because the tourism in Nigeria, or this creative industry, is almost in a virgin form. So how do we, for you to kickstart it, for you to move it up, you need to be responsible for it. So how much of funding or partner? How much is government ready to partner with organizations, funding organizations, or banks that can fund ideas, fund movies, fund industries, fund a lot of activities that people want to do? Because people need trust. A lot of people don't even have trust in ideas in Nigeria anymore. But there are great ideas that just need a little support. And that little support will turn to a very big asset to the nation.
Femi Lawson, tourism communications promotion expert based in the United Kingdom. Thank you for your time on the program.
Thank you.
Right. We'll take a break now. When we